I am one of 4 kids. My older brother P, who I no longer have any contact with, my younger brother J, who is no longer with us, and my youngest sister K. Recently P's children, 2 girls and 1 boy, all in their late teens and early 20s, reached out to me and expressed a desire to have a relationship. I have 0 contact with their father and swore that I would beat him black and blue if I ever saw him again. My oldest brother P was always the golden child. No matter what he did, my parents always had an excuse for why it was not his fault. Bad grade? Teacher had it out for him. Cheating on every single one of his relationships? Good thing you did it to her before she did it to you. That one was my personal favorite. He also used to torment Jay and I constantly when we were smaller than him, until in high school, when I hit a growth spurt and sprung up to about 6 feet 4 inches and 230 pounds worth of muscle. After that I became the typical jock type. Played football, partied, bunch of friends, etc. Well, my younger brother, Jay, didn't get as lucky and stayed pretty small and scrawny throughout high school and college, only getting up to about 5 feet 8 inches, and didn't have a super active social life. Despite the difference in our schooling experience, I was always very protective of Jay, especially since we were always having to put up with P's bullshit, which stopped once he realized I could pound him into the ground and not break a sweat, as he was also a lot smaller than me at only 5 feet 10 inches. Not much to say about Kay. She was a great younger sister and P didn't dare mess with her or he would incur the wrath of our mother. So, in the late 90s, Jay met his first real girlfriend, A, and was over the moon about her. He spent every spare moment with her, and when he wasn't with her, he would do nothing but gush about her. I had never seen him so happy. Well, one day, he comes to us, all smiles, and announces that A is pregnant and they are expecting. The mood quickly turned, however, when a week later it came out that A had been cheating on Jay for the duration of their relationship with our older brother P. This broke my brother, and of course P, being the golden shit that he is, didn't even get a disappointed glance from our parents. To this day I have never seen someone look so broken as Jay had looked the last time I saw him. I believe his heartache was only compounded by the fact that my parents basically told him to get over it and be happy for our brother. Well, about a week after this revelation came to light, Jay took his own life. I had never been so sad and angry at the same time in my entire life. Sad that I would never see my brother again, and the pure rage of knowing that this was my brother and parents' fault. During the funeral, P walked in with A and I saw red. Thankfully I had other family there to stop me from doing anything stupid, but I told P that if I ever saw him again, I would kill him. Shortly after that, I cut contact with 90% of my family, with the exception of K and a cousin I had always been close with, because everyone except them wanted to make excuses for my parents and P. Even though my sister was just as crushed about Jay's death as I was and was angry for a long time. She and her then boyfriend, future husband, hit a financial rough patch after graduating college and were forced to move in with our parents. Due to unrelated drama at the time, they couldn't stay with me. So my sister stayed with them for several years, and over that time their relationship improved, and even though I wasn't thrilled at the time, I understood. She still doesn't really have a relationship with P, but is cordial if they meet. I don't blame her, because our parents did a lot for her and daughters love their cousins. So I didn't want to put her in that kind of position of choosing. I never had any kids, and truth be told, I never wanted any. I much preferred the role of the fun uncle. Kay met a great guy and had 2 daughters, who I absolutely adore. P had 2 more kids with A before cheating on her and splitting, and I've never met any of them. My parents have tried to make contact a handful of times, but I always told them to kick rocks. So last week, I'm chatting with Kay's daughters, 19 and 17. And they mentioned that their cousins have wanted to meet me for a long time and were hoping I would be willing to meet them as well. I don't believe they know everything that transpired between their dad and I, but I would be lying if I said I never had any desire to meet them. I am 33 female, don't think I'm in the wrong here, but the way my neighbors reacted to me has me second-guessing myself. A few days ago I woke up at 8:30 a.m. and was about to let my large dogs out into my fenced backyard. At the last second I checked my phone and saw that my next-door neighbor Catherine had sent me a text at 1 a.m. telling me there would be contractors in my backyard power washing her house from 8 to 9 a.m. Here's my issue. I wouldn't mind letting them in my yard if that made the work easier. But Catherine never asked, she just told me it was happening, with 7 hours notice, in a text sent to me while I was asleep. It was just by chance that I saw it before I let the dogs outside, and had I not seen it, I could have let my dogs out into my yard with contractors already in the yard. One of my dogs is a very fearful dog, and while he has never bitten anyone, that is only because I work extremely hard to protect him from unwanted encounters with strangers, advocate for him and his personal space and special needs, and never let anyone get close to him without measures taken to make sure everyone is safe. He is a very loving and special dog, so this is just not a risk I'm willing to take because I want to be a responsible dog owner. My neighbors know this, and they know he's scared of pretty much any person that I don't carefully introduce him to. I also have very clear signage on all the gates. But they told the contractors they could go into my yard. Didn't ask permission, didn't wait for my answer. I felt this was an egregious overstep, and just kinda rude and entitled of them to not ask me permission, and just tell me it was happening like I had no say in the matter. I got mad and texted her back and told her that this could have a very serious safety issue and it is not okay, under any circumstances, for them to ever give anyone permission to enter my yard where my dogs could bite them. Unacceptable, and never again. Catherine's husband Jack then blew his top and told me that they didn't have any notice either. They heard from the contractor in the middle of the night and there was no time to notify me. I feel like that's not my problem, and that they should have waited to receive confirmed permission from me before telling the contractors it was okay. I really don't think I'm asking a lot here. I feel like this is an extremely reasonable request, dog issues or not. Then Jack told me that my behavior was unacceptable and that any harassment of the contractors would be dealt with, and that I was to immediately cease harassing Catherine. I never even spoke to the contractors. And I sent Catherine a total of 4 text messages that more or less said that this is a boundary they can't cross. This was unacceptable, and they are not to do it again. Jack sent me a few more nasty texts, and at this point I'm not really interested in being friendly anymore. But Jack still said that I was the one who was being unacceptable. Jack just yelled at me from his balcony to tell me that the painters will be coming back multiple times this week and he doesn't know when, so I am calling the company first thing tomorrow and explaining the situation to them. I am installing gate locks this afternoon. My boyfriend and I have been together about a year, and when our city implemented lockdown for the virus, he decided to quarantine with me at my apartment as I live alone and have a nicer apartment, and he has several roommates. Mostly it has been going well, and thankfully we both still have jobs. Except in the first few weeks I started noticing that the bathroom floor was suddenly always wet around the toilet. The sink is across the room from the toilet, so it's unlikely to be from the sink. At first I thought it might be water, but soon realized that it was definitely pee. I asked boyfriend about it nicely, and he apologized and said sometimes he has bad aim. I asked him to try a little harder, and he said sure. The floor continued to be frequently spattered with piss. And a few weeks later I confronted him about it again because I think it's pretty gross to step in his pee several times a week. And it seems like an easy thing to fix. If he misses the toilet, I think the very least he could do is make sure to wipe it up with toilet paper or a Clorox wipe. The cleaning supplies even live in a cabinet directly over the toilet. He said sure, sorry, he would try to remember to do that. Another week has passed, and while maybe he's doing this sometimes, I've continued to step in splatters of his pee and wipe it off the floor and clean the floor several times a week. I thought about asking him to just pee into the bathtub or something instead, because I don't understand how you can pee on the floor by accident so often and not notice and not clean it up. Last night I got up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night and absolutely stepped in piss, for the 12,312,301,298th time. I had it, and I didn't want to pick a fight or ask him again since it seems clear he can't or won't change. So I got one of my dog's wee pads from when he was a puppy, he is well trained now, and cut it up a bit and taped it down to make a sort of skirt or mat around the floor near the toilet to at least absorb the piss. Boyfriend saw this morning and is furious with me, saying that I'm calling him a dog, comparing him to an animal, etc. Honestly, I was not thinking that at all. I just was trying to be resourceful and solve the problem for myself since I don't like piss on my bathroom floor, and don't like stepping in it. I didn't feel like arguing about it anymore. And putting a material specifically meant to absorb pee around the area he keeps peeing on by accident seemed like a practical solution. My dad married my stepmother 3 months ago, and I feel like it made my life significantly harder and less pleasant. They moved in with us, and for the indefinite future this situation will not change. We have a 3-bedroom house, and before they moved in, my dad and I had our rooms, both with bathrooms. And there was a smaller room which was a study for my dad. After they moved in, Jenny, 16, turning 17 next month, got my room. And I had to share the smaller room with 11-year-old Tom and 10-year-old Mike. All my books, my telescope, my stuff are packed and in the basement now since there's no space anymore. This made me real angry, but my dad told me that I have to be a team player, and this is what him and his wife agreed on. Jenny treats me like shit. She sometimes acts as if I'm not there at all, and sometimes is super aggressive and hostile towards me. The other I asked Tom to stop going through my things, and she became so angry that I have no right to order her brother around. She told me to get it in my thick skull that I'm not their big brother to tell them what to do, even though all I asked was for them to stop going through my things. She said it's best if I don't talk to them at all, since that way they will get less influence from a weirdo like me. What I don't get is that if she's so concerned that I might leave a bad influence on Tom and Mike, why doesn't she take them into her room? Tom and Mike don't respect any boundaries. They're always through my stuff. I have a watch which was a gift from my mother. She died of cancer, and they took it from my drawer and lost it. I found it weeks later in the basement with its front glass broken. Before they moved in, I used to get a $100 allowance every month. Now Jenny gets $75, I get $35, and Tom and Mike each get $30. I had an Xbox, but these kids broke it down. I used to spend a lot of time with my dad. He used to come see me play basketball almost every week. He hasn't done it even once in the past 3 months since he's always working overtime. We eat out once a week, and none of them in these 3 months have been to any of my favorite places, but Jenny, Tom and Mike have each chosen their favorites more than once. I complained about all of it to my father last week, and he told me that family is all about sacrifices, and I have to make mine. Haven't I made enough sacrifices already? I feel like I'm the only one making sacrifices. I looked forward to them moving in here, but I now feel like an outsider at home. It's not my home anymore. Life has become very difficult for me. I spend as much time as I can outside because inside is so frustrating, but this is causing problems as well. My dad keeps telling me that not being around means I'm not accepting them as part of the family, while in reality it's the opposite. So I get grounded for not being around, and being around is horrible. I don't want to live here anymore, but I'm only 15 and can't move out. I have nobody else who can take me in. I can't stay here for 3 more years. I'll go crazy. I often fantasize about running away at night, but I know that's also as horrible, if not even more.